Okay, today we are looking at our new way of solving systems. This is called by substitution. So for today, since we're just learning this new system or this new method, the first step is going to be done for you in all of these. Okay, so the very first step is what math teachers like to say, isolate the variable. Okay, what that means is you want to get one of your variables alone in one of your equations. It doesn't matter which equation, it doesn't matter which variable, it doesn't even matter what side of the equation you're looking at. So if I take a look at the very first one, 7x plus y equals 14, but then the second one has x all by itself. X equals y plus 2. So great. So that already has step one done. So tomorrow, after we kind of get the basics of the method down, tomorrow we'll have ones where we do need to isolate it ourselves, or whatever the next day is. We'll be looking at those. Okay. So one thing I like to do is sort of put a box around these two. See how x is equal to y plus 2. So that means that I could swap x and y plus 2 for each other wherever I want, because they are equal to each other, right? So it's like, if you were solving something and you found out that a was equal to 7, well, you could swap a and 7 with each other wherever you wanted. Same idea here. It's just that x is equal to y plus 2. So I can replace an x with a y plus 2 wherever I want. And that's the key to this whole thing. So once I get one variable all by itself, like I already have, I'm going to take whatever it's equal to, and I'm going to go back into the other equation, and I'm going to put it in its place. So instead of writing that x right there, I'm going to be writing the y plus 2. Okay? So let's try it. Look at how I write it too. I'm going to do it over here. So I'm going to rewrite this first top equation, but I'm going to replace that x with y plus 2. So it's going to look like this. 7, and then I am multiplying by x, so I want to multiply by all of that y plus 2, because I'm going to put that in instead of x. And then I'm going to finish the rest of the equation, plus y equals 14. So do you see how I did that? Do you see how those two top lines are now exactly the same? It's just that I don't have this x right here. I've replaced it with everything in that box, because that is what x is equal to. So I substituted in for x whatever it's equal to. Okay, you do need to be mindful of the parentheses though. You need those because I'm doing 7 times everything that x is. Okay, so if you don't have the parentheses right here, these are the ones that I'm talking about, it's going to mess you up. Okay, so just make sure that you have them. So I have 7 times everything that x is, and then plus y equals 14. Now you're in a really good spot, because now I have an equation and it only has one variable in it. So I can solve for the variable that's left, which in this case is y. So sometimes it'll be x that's left, sometimes it's y that's left, doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and do this equation out. So let's distribute that 7. So I get 7y plus 14 plus y equals 14. I'm going to combine like terms. So I have 7y plus y. So together that gets me 8y plus 14 equals 14. I'm going to minus 14 from both sides. Okay, so now I have 8y equals 14 minus 14 is 0. Do not think that you've done anything wrong. 0 is a number like anybody else. You keep solving just like you normally would. Divide by 8, divide by 8. 0 divided by 8 is 0. That's totally fine. You are allowed to have 0 in the numerator. It's 0 in the denominator that gives us all the problems, okay? So I get y is equal to 0 in this case. It could be anything, but today it just so happened to be 0 in this one. So if you remember from all the days that we spent graphing, our answer to a systems problem was always an ordered pair, an x comma y, right? So we have half of our answer right now. I know what the y is. I know that y is going to be 0. What I don't know is x. So this is where our next step comes in. We're going to go ahead and take our answer here, y is equal to 0, and I'm going to go right back to that equation. And now that I know that y is 0, I can plug it in and figure out what x is. So x is now equal to 0 plus 2, or x is just going to be 2. So now I have my ordered pair. I have my answer. Make sure you always put it in x comma y, right? It should always be the x coordinate first and then the y coordinate second. No matter which one you found first, it doesn't matter. But when you write your answer, you want to make sure that you put it in the correct order. Okay, so this is my final answer right here. The 2 comma 0. And you can take that answer and plug it back in and check, and it should work in both. So if I try real quick, 7 times 2 is 14. 14 plus 0, yep, that's 14. And then x equals y plus 2, let's see, is 0. I'm sorry, is 2 equal to 0 plus 2? Yep, it sure is. So pretty easy to check. You could have gotten the same answer by graphing these, but as I mentioned in the post, you're eventually going to have problems that don't cross at a nice point. They're going to cross at something weird. So graphing won't always work out for us. Okay, let's go ahead and try another one together. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the second one. So this time, the top equation has y already isolated, and the bottom one has 2x minus 2y equals 16. So I'm going to take what y is equal to, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that and I'm going to go into the other equation, and I'm replacing y with whatever is in that box, right? Because it's y that's equal to all of this. So when I go to rewrite that second equation, instead of writing y, I'm going to write everything that's in that box. So it's going to look like this. 2x minus 2 times everything that y is equal to, 2x minus 8, equals 16. There it is. So once you get the variable all by itself, which is already done for you on this worksheet, you're going to go to the other equation and substitute for that variable whatever it's equal to. Okay? And now you have an equation that you can solve. So 2x minus 4x plus 16 equals 16. Oh, that's funny. This is another one that has a 0 in it. They won't always, I promise. I think it just so happened this way. So these two, 2x minus 4x is a negative 2x. I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. So now I'm here, 16 minus 16 was 0, so we'll divide both sides by a negative 2. So I just so happen to get x is equal to 0. Okay, I'm telling you, it's just coincidence that we got a 0 both times, because it won't always be. Okay, so now I have half of my answer. I know it's going to be at x comma y, and I have the x is 0. I need to figure out what the y is. So now I'm going to go ahead and take that answer of x is equal to 0, and I take it all the way back to the box that I made, and now I get to plug in that value. So y is now equal to 2 times 0 minus 8. Well, 2 times 0 is just 0, and 0 minus 8 is just a negative 8. So now I have both my x and my y, so I'm ready to give my answer as an ordered pair. So make sure you always put the x first, so that'll be 0 comma negative 8. And that is my answer. Okay, so let's try another one. That means, by the way, before I go on, if I had graphed these two lines, that means that they would have crossed on the coordinate plane at 0, negative 8, right? That's what, so you will get the same answer if you graph them. So hold on, let's erase all this. So actually, that's a really nice way to check yourself. If you're taking a test or a quiz and you're like, I just don't know if I did this right. But you can always take those two. You can take 0 and negative 8 and plug it back in for x and y. Make sure it works in each one. Or you can solve it by a different method. So you could solve it by graphing and seed. Are you really getting them to cross in the same spot? Okay, let's check out number 3. This one does already have, oh, there we go. Y is already by itself, it's equal to 8x minus 22. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that value and I am going to go into my other equation, and instead of writing y, I'm going to write everything that's in that box. So I'm going to put that in right there. So it's going to look like this: 4x minus 7 times everything that y is equal to, which is the 8x minus 22, equals negative 2. Okay, it might take a couple tries to get the hang of this, but then once you get it, you'll be smooth sailing. All right, so I'm just going to solve it. Let's distribute. So negative 7 times 8 is going to get me that negative 56x. Negative 7 times negative 22 is going to be a positive 154, is it? Of course, I don't have my calculator anywhere near me, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right. But I would hate to, oh, here it is. Give me 1 second. I was right, 154. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and solve. 4x minus 56x is going to get me a negative 52x. Let's minus 154 from both sides. It's going to get me a negative 156. Divide both sides by a negative 52. And that, believe it or not, comes out to be a positive 3. I will give you a hint that on this worksheet, all of your answers come out nice. So there's nothing that comes out as a decimal or a fraction. So if you are getting a decimal or fraction, go back and try it again. You might have missed a negative somewhere, multiplied wrong, you know. So just be cautious of that. So now I have half my answer. X is equal to 3. All I have to do now is take that value and go back to the box. And I'm going to plug in what x is equal to. So I think I'll sneak that up in the corner here. Y is equal to 8 times 3 minus 22. Now that I know what x is 3. So I get 24 minus 22. That means y is going to be 2. Okay, so I have both of my values, the x and the y. So I'm going to go ahead and write my ordered pair answer, 3, 2. Okay, so see, this one did not have a 0 in it. All right, let's try one more together, and then I'll let you try the rest on your own. Okay. Okay, I think I got it all. All right, let's try number 4. Oh, okay, this one looks a little bit different, but it works exactly the same. So this is the one that has y by itself. Okay, y is equal to a negative 3x. So that's what I'm going to put in place of y in the other equation. So I'll take that negative 3x and I'm going to replace that y with it. So my new equation looks like this: negative 4x minus 3. Now instead of writing y, I write everything it's equal to. Negative 3x equals negative 5. Okay, now I can go ahead and multiply. That'll be a positive 9x. 4x plus 9x leaves me with 5x equals negative 5. Divide both sides by 5. Looks like x is going to end up being a negative 1. Okay, and now that I have that answer, I can go ahead and take it and bring it back to the box. And y is now equal to negative 3 times negative 1. So that means y is just going to be positive 3. Put my two answers together. Write as an ordered pair, always write the x coordinate first. -1, 3. And you can check that pretty easily. If I pop those in, yep, they look pretty good. So I hope this helps. Tomorrow we'll look at, or whenever, because I think I'm doing this on at the end of the week. But anyway, whenever we do this next, we'll have equations that don't already have a variable isolated. So we'll just have to do that step first, and then we can continue. Okay? All right. Hope this helps.